So there was the possibly like the worst, most failed protest ever in Brazil. Let's talk about that. It was possibly like even stupider than January 6th. At least in the January 6th thing, there were actual politicians in the building. This time there was literally no one there. And then everyone just got like immediately arrested the next day and put into the LULAG, which is fucking based. And now they're like spreading stories amongst themselves on like, you know, pro right-wing channels and shit that like 1,500 people who were arrested for the riot protest, whatever the fuck you want to call it, are all getting forcibly vaccinated in the LULAG. I only wish that were true. So obviously this was like an initiative that was called for by you know, like big Brazilian internationally aligned capitalists who hate people like Lula, who want to do even a tiny little bit to regulate their ability to import and export capital. That's pretty much what it was. They, you know, bought a bunch of buses, hired like a PR firm to organize like, hey guys, stop the steal party in the capital, everyone come. And they all showed up in their fucking Brazilian football shirts, cheering on the military and the police, like 2 seconds before disaster. Like, the military show up and they're like, yay, guys, they're here to support us. They're here to overthrow the president who is literally 1,000 miles away. Yay, they're here. And like if you watch the videos, like the military walk past them, like just create a cordon around them and like collapse on them and arrest them all at once. And it was fucking, well, they're all like, yay, they're on our side. Yay. Fucking, it's the equivalent of like delusional QAnon bullshit. It's just even stupider than January 6th. People calling it like a coup attempt or whatever, like, you know, it's not a coup attempt just because the people involved thought they were doing a coup. For it to be like anything resembling a coup attempt, it needs to actually have some sort of possibility or even remote possibility of possibly succeeding or having any sort of, you know, real backing to take power. It was never going to. I can be like trying to manifest someone's death. I'm not going to say who. Like, I really want them to die. Ugh. I want them to die. Does that mean I'm attempting murder? You know, just because I imagine and I sincerely believe that I'm doing it? Obviously not. It doesn't matter how much they sincerely believe they were overthrowing the government. That still doesn't mean they were doing it. Like, the risk of a coup in Brazil explicitly requires US backing. And it won't come from random fucking morons storming empty buildings. It will come from the military after getting the go-ahead from Washington. In any other case, it's not going to happen. And the US, in spite of, you know, the US media trying to play up the Biden and shit being on the side of democracy and shit in this case, the only reason why they have abandoned Bolsonaro is because he's gone a bit too far with being a fucking very bombastic, very overt moron. Give them someone with the exact same policies who, you know, wears a suit and tie and who went to etiquette class and who's not going to say the quiet part out loud too much, and they'll be backing him. They'll be right back to supporting coups. They'll be right back to supporting whatever sort of espionage they can in order to overthrow and even like some center-left milquetoast liberal like Lula. Because they backed the pretend Operation Car Wash bullshit that got him put into jail in the first place. It started with Obama's Department of Justice, went from there, Trump picked it up. They were behind it the whole fucking way through. US media backed and whitewashed Bolsonaro from the very beginning. US media praised Operation Car Wash like it was just what those goddamn corrupt Latinos need in their corrupt countries. You know, we're not corrupt like them because we have legalized corruption. We're very different. So it's total bullshit that they're like trying to pretend that they're on the side of democracy in this case, because they want, not until their guy went a bit too far for their taste, went a bit too far for it to be viable. And it's not going to be like that in the future. Give it like 6 months to a year and they're going to be back to printing op-eds about how Lula represents a communist socialist danger to the world and how whoever replaces Bolsonaro is the future of Brazil. Blah, 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 blah. That's what's going to happen. And there, you know, there's people who've been calling this out for years, far longer than I have. You look at one of the best English language journalists on Brazil, which isn't really saying that much. Not to bring the guy down or anything, because it's not his fault. But there's not exactly good English journalism on Brazil aside from him. Is Brian Meir? Look, just Google him, and he's been writing about this forever. This is from 2019 about how after Lula was released, like the US media were ignoring the fact that they were the ones who were doing like this PR campaign for the obviously bullshit lawfare campaign that put him there in the first place. This is a good article on that. I mean, just Google the title. It'll show up. You don't need me to give you a link. I fucking hate you guys who are always like, source? Oh, source? You type this into fucking Google and it shows up. You don't need the link. Jesus Christ. I'm just preempting that because I know it's going to happen. You literally don't even need Google. You put it into your address bar these days and it shows up. It'll even show up if you have fucking DuckDuckGo or whatever the fuck the Bill Gates alternative is. Like, give me a break. Like, look at these profiles. Like, a judge's bid to clean up Brazil from the bench. And this is Sergio fucking Moro, the absolute most vile, corrupt, far-right fascist who conspired in a fucking Telegram, WhatsApp group or whatever to put Lula in jail. Look at these, Sergio Moro. Cleaning up corruption. And this is from mid-2019. Brazil top prosecutors who indicted Lula schemed in secret messages to prevent his party from winning 2018 election. Again, if you want to see this, Google the title. It's not difficult. Put it into your address bar. It's not hard. Like, this is what the judge said in this chat. I remain very worried about the possible return of the Workers' Party. But I have prayed frequently for God to enlighten our population and for a miracle to save us. I'm with you, Carol. Pray indeed. We need this as a country. The US backed this. Okay? The US Department of Justice backed this from the very fucking beginning. And here they are, now that Lula is back in power and Bolsonaro has gone way too far with, making things optically look bad, that they can't back him anymore. In March 2019, literally 2 months before The Intercept revealed those texts between the prosecutors and the judges to make it clear that Operation Car Wash was always an anti-left judicial coup. Like, always a way to just attack the left with lawfare, and they couped Dilma, and then they put Lula in prison as a result of that, which allowed Bolsonaro to win the fucking election, which he never would have won otherwise, got him into power in the first place, with backing from both Obama and Trump's Justice Department, and with the enthusiastic backing of the US fucking media. And now they have the fucking audacity to be like, oh my God, how did we get here? What is happening to democracy in Brazil? Oh no! What happened to democracy in Brazil is you. You happened. You did this, you dumb fuckers. Jesus Christ. And now, where do Latin America's fascist Nazis go when they need refuge? To the US, of course. That's where Bolsonaro is, to fucking Florida. It's always funny how the US points to Argentina, for example, as like a Nazi refuge or something. Motherfuckers, you guys are the Nazi refuge. Your country is the playground of Latin American fascists, because as long as they're doing what you want, as long as they're letting your companies get in there and make a quick buck, you'll do anything they want. You'll let them into Florida to live in mansions, live lives of luxury, do terrorist attacks, whatever. One of the reasons, first Lula was released as on a technicality, but then he was absolved of the charges because they read the fucking text between the, another judge read the text between the judge and the prosecutors and ruled that obviously it was a political prosecution, so he was released. The US backs the fascist right wing in their very transparent lawfare efforts against the shitty liberal center left, who are already too far left for them to abide by. They back it the entire way through, resulting in a fucking coup against Dilma, resulting in Lula getting put in jail, resulting in Bolsonaro getting elected because they wanted him to be elected. And now they're like, oh my God, how could Bolsonaro supporters storm these empty buildings? Holy shit, Brazilian democracy is in peril. How could this have happened? The fucking audacity of these pieces of shit to pretend that they were on the right side this entire time. Especially when give it a year and they're going to be talking about how Lula is a massive danger and shit. The second that he tries to pass a law that increases welfare spending by 2%. Give me a fucking break. And yeah, this article goes over how they whitewashed all of this and how after it was revealed that it was all basically just a US-backed far-right judicial coup attempt, 2 of them, how the US media tried to slip that under the rug and not talk about it at all and just paint it as if the charges against Lula were valid. They never were, by the way. Nothing that they ever accused him of ever even fucking happened. The apartment that they claimed he owned, they never actually proved that he owned it. They never had any proof that he had anything to do with it at all. It was all a fucking joke. And this article goes over it, so yeah. But look, what happened in Brazil didn't represent a true threat to democracy or whatever. The real threat to democracy is going to happen in a year or so when the US backs a new right-wing candidate who makes an actual real threat to democracy viable once more. Because the Brazilian military, they're not delusional. They know that they can't just seize power unless the US will do PR on their behalf. So if there is a coup It will either be through that way, or it will be like some sort of fucky like fake like anti-corruption campaign with US backing once more, and with like these glowing profiles of the presiding fascist prosecutor in all of like the Western imperialist media. It's insane how like people who like just enthusiastically back and support US imperialism, deep throat at every opportunity, have the fucking gall to never talk about this at all, and have the gall to be like, oh no, I've been against Bolsonaro from the very beginning. I love Lula. I've always backed Lula. Motherfucker, you can't back Lula and be against Bolsonaro while supporting US imperialism in general. It's not how it fucking works. Like, I hate the symptoms, but the causes are very good.